Woo!
Welcome to Pounding the Meat. It's Thursdays, boys. How is everyone doing? It is.
It's Thursday.
I know you slept in today, Jones, so you might.
Yeah, I know. Must be nice, Jones, sleeping in.
I'm sorry. I get stuck on the second shift most times. So, yeah.
It's on nights
I hate second shift, man. I would never work second shift.
Yeah, I said that, and look at me now.
But we're here, live and live in color. Say hi to
yes, we are.
Those in the chat. What's up, Kirk? Mr. Beefy.
I love Mr. Beefy, man. He's amazing. You just
Miguel.
gotta follow your dreams.
Juan.
Well,
Drew. We've got a lovely comment right here. Vinny ain't here. Vinny's doing house shows.
yeah, he's the final boss left.
Yeah.
You
You
know?
never know when he might show up, though.
He's kind of like venereal disease. He just pops up.
Wow.
You know. But
Speaking of venereal
at least
disease,
he's doing his thing like the Boston Bruins.
wow! After they got smacked 6-1 last night against Florida, we're going to be talking a little bit about Florida later with
Interesting. You
my
said
pal
that.
Rick Flair. But
Mr. Beefy's comment is very interesting.
B dreams, Joey. B dreams.
You see what my shirt says?
Yeah, follow.
It's
your
like
dreams.
it's like it be.
It's like it was meant to be.
It definitely was. That's why Mr. Beefy.
I want to
is-
know who say Mr.
every
Beefy
Thursday.
is.
Oh, I found out actually the other day in All Elite Belts who Mr. Beefy is, and yeah, made me pretty happy to figure out who the mysterious Mr. Beefy.
Oh, he's one of us.
He's one of us, and then he pulls up this kind of crap. So I take back everything I just said. Just not put your comments up for the rest of the night. But yeah, Leafs did fire their head coach today, Joe. So a little happy. I'm happy about that because he deserved it.
Maybe you
You
can
can't
hire
get-
Ty Domi, put a little fire in that team.
Well, they have his son Max, right? And
Mm-hmm.
but that's another show for another time. Gentlemen, not much has happened this week in the wrestling world. There's been a little bit here and there, but nothing exciting, nothing over the top on Raw or Dynamite, or we haven't gotten to SmackDown yet.
Yeah, Backlash.
We did have Backlash. It was a pretty good show, unless you ask our good friend Uncle Dave. He did say it was the worst pay-per-view buy in WWE history.
But how can you consider it buys when they're on Peacock?
Yeah.
I don't know how
Their buys aren't even a factor you can count anymore.
pay-per-view
They had like what,
buys
5
haven't been a
matches?
thing
And it was still good.
for WWE in quite some time. When you're streaming it, you've got the network in Canada, you've got Peacock in the States. Who's looking at pay-per-view buys for a WWE Premium Live event?
You want to know why Dave's saying that? Because he wants to be on the intro of Dynamite,
I think that's
the
what.
intro package video.
Yeah, but it was a good show. I really enjoyed it. It's always nice to watch an afternoon show, and that crowd, my goodness, that crowd was fire, and I think it really made the show as great as it was in so many ways.
We were trying to figure out like what they were saying. We're like, are they saying Nakamura? But like,
There was a bit of a language barrier, but it's okay. We see what happens, But yeah, the card was pretty good, all things considered. Started off with, if I'm not mistaken, the street fight. No,
yeah, it did.
what I like about the street fight in WWE is that it's not overdone. You know what? Like when we do compare, and we talk about AEW a lot on this show, that happens all the time in AEW. There's a street fight, there's a Texas death match, there's some kind of match that will involve weapons and bloods, and Moxley will be, very, very excited. But when WWE does it, it's a breath of fresh air.
I'm still trying to figure out what is Tama Tonga's finisher going to be in WWE because it's the RKO. So I'm like, is he going to adopt something new?
That's a good
keep
point.
it. Like I was waiting, like at Backlash, like, oh, what is it? Is he gonna hit something?
I really liked seeing the crowd sing Orton's song. He was a mega star, right? The guy that's been around for as long as he has, and for them to sing his entrance theme, like some of the other guys in the WWE, that was great to hear.
That was probably the most electric crowd I've seen this year.
I don't know how they're going to top it. I really don't. We'll see what Scotland's like, but I don't think they're going to have the energy like France.
I mean, even like Triple H talking about going to Italy too in the press conference. Like I think they're definitely going to come back to France. They should. I mean, especially with that crowd. Ooh.
That crowd did not sit down the entire show.
That crowd on Armenia.
And you always worried like going to like say like France, because when was the last time they were in France?
I don't remember.
Yeah, like
it's been a very long time.
Really good, that crowd. I mean, even though I gotta say, man, Tongaloa, man, misses Cube a little bit,
just a bit.
Thanks to the cameraman.
Yes. Oh man, I still want to call him Camacho.
during his
just like for many piece.
But you know what? I'm excited to see this new bloodline, right? We got a new member of the bloodline, but I think the new member that showed up wasn't who a lot of us were expecting. Mr. Jones, I know that you are waiting, sir, for one of your favorite MLW wrestlers to finally make their on-screen debut.
Where is he? Don't know anything about Jacob Fatu? Start doing your research now. When he hits, it's over. It's a whole different level of athleticism from that guy. And he can go with anybody. He will be an Impact player immediately.
I want to say Jacob Fatu's like a mix between Umaga and Yoko. Like, kind of like, because like when he wrestles, it's like, man, it's kind of like you see a lot of Umaga in him.
Way more than what Solo does. And that's
all. And I think
that's exactly to John Bedoy's point. I think that's why, and that's what a lot of the rumor mill online are saying right now. They're holding Fatu back just because of that fear that he's going to outshine Solo.
It's a good problem to have.
Absolutely.
It's a perfect good problem because the way Solo is operating right now, like I love it. But my thought for SummerSlam is Roman and the Usos versus Tama, Tonga, and Solo. Yeah. But now with Jacob Fatu, I'm like, ooh.
Where does he come into the mix?
Yeah, like
Jones, we were talking before a little bit about this. What do you think when they do bring him in? What are they going to do with Jacob?
Heel or face?
They have different directions they can go with it. Like if I say let the crowd. You honestly let the crowd decide for you.
Yeah.
If he gets that reaction that you want him to get, or actually that you don't want him to get, have him turn on Solo. Have him take over the bloodline. Have him bring in other Samoans. And then Solo runs calling his big brothers, help me. Help me, please. And then they go get Roman. Help me, big cousin. Help me, real tribal chief.
Maybe we'll even see Haku come back on television. Not get in the ring or anything, but
well, he could probably still get in there.
But that's the thing, like, if you look at the bloodline, a lot of people thought, like, okay, when Roman loses, what's going to happen with the bloodline? Man, it's like a different era, like a new dimension with this bloodline. Like, they're more meaner, more fierce, nastier.
And you got a lot of people that, you're not going to appease everybody, and then that's
No.
fine. There's a lot of people that don't like the direction that the Bloodline is going, but I think they did everything they could up until that point of Roman dropping the title. It was, in many ways, I know I felt this way at times, it was getting a little stale. And they were running out of ideas with their current setup. Now, when you bring
Keep
this
it
fresh blood in, this is fresh, this is new. And when you like you alluded to before, Joe, this is a good problem to have, especially with Jacob Fatu. And Jones, whether you bring him in as face or you bring him in as a heel or you let the crowd decide, this is an incredible problem to try and have to figure out and see where it goes. We might all be wrong, and we'll see, I guess, what happens when he does make his debut. But
I mean, there's reports that Roman is heavily involved in the creative of the Bloodline going forward.
yeah,
And also, I want to point out with Tonga Loa, nobody knew, because New Japan never announced his contract was expired. They never put out like a release or nothing. Like, it just, like, that's what I like about the Bloodline, like, going forward, like, with this. You don't know who's going to show up at any time. We all thought, oh man, if the next person, it's going to be Jacob Fatu.
yeah,
It's friggin' Tonga. Like,
absolutely. And I think, we could see something similar to when the NWO split with the Wolfpack and the Black and White. But I think with the creative direction that WWE has been going in now, it's not going to fall off the rails like the NWO did.
As long as we don't get a finger poke of doom, I'm good.
I mean, Bloodline's going on 4 years now, I want to say.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
So
It'll be 4 years in August.
I mean, about to be longer than the NWO.
It is, yeah. And it's got more momentum now, I think, than the NWO did at this point. So, yeah. But it was a good match overall. That was the big takeaway, right? Was the new member of the Bloodline expanding. But, Solo Sikoa and Tonga defeated Orton and Owens.
I was shocked that was the opening match, though. But
I was too. But it set the precedent, I think, for the rest of the card. Any other final thoughts, gentlemen, on that match?
Future's bright.
Absolutely.
Can't wait to see more.
Speaking of the future is bright, I know Joe's favorite, Tiffany Stratton. Tiffy time versus Bayley and Naomi for the WWE Women's Championship.
Yes.
This was also a really good match, in my opinion. Had a big feel to it. And I love when Samantha makes the announcements, because she really captures the crowd. She captures the audience from the get-go. But a lot of big spots in this match. Gentlemen, your thoughts on this?
I don't like the ending. I don't like the roll-up.
I actually like the roll-up ending because it protects everyone. Nobody took a finisher. Nobody had to kick out of a finisher. It was more so oh shit, it's over.
That's the plus to the roll-up, right?
Yeah.
No one had to lose to a finisher. No one had to kick out of a finisher.
But I don't want to get in the habit.
I'm with you, Mr. Beefy. Please.
Technically, she's kind of had one already on social media, but
Yo, you gotta send me that. I'm gonna say this about Tiffany Stratton. Not if, but when she will be women's champion. I think it's heading towards that. I don't know how soon it will be. I'd say possibly by SummerSlam, maybe. I could see her winning the women's Money in the Bank match. Imagine her carry around that briefcase.
I could see it. She's got that it factor, and you give her the Money in the Bank to carry around and to cash in at any given moment at a big event like SummerSlam or at another major pay-per-view. She is the next big thing when it comes to the female roster.
Very athletic. Oh, the women's division is very athletic.
Still saying this is one of the best women's divisions in the world.
I would agree. They have a lot of talent, and hopefully they can figure out what to do with all of the great women that they have. on their roster on both Raw and SmackDown and NXT, especially with bringing up some of the new girls from NXT with the draft. It'll be the future's bright. That's for sure.
Yeah. Even though you got some big time players, injured, the ball keeps rolling, and by the time they get back, you're gonna have Tiffany Stratton up there, Jade up there, just.
Yeah. When mommy returns, she's going to be in good hands and have a lot of competition. So it's going to be a good.
NXT has a lot of people chomping at the bit, ready to come up.
I mean, you got Lyra who
just came up, so
yep.
That's right.
And Blair Davenport.
Yes.
You can make the argument that with the women that are coming up from NXT, they're in a better position than a lot of the men are.
Yep.
The women from NXT are really going to carry the division in the next couple of years, for sure.
Yeah.
Boys, what was the next match? Was it the world title?
Yeah, I think it was
Priest and Uso.
Yeah.
Priest and Uso, yes.
This was
this match.
I liked it, but it was my least favorite. I think on the card.
Here's my issue with this. It's not just because of where it was. This man is too over to keep having him lose matches.
Mm-hmm.
You gave him the moniker main event Jey Uso.
Yeah.
Yet this man cannot seem to win a championship.
Sorry, Jones. Go ahead.
It's like I get some people may not like him as a singles wrestler. I think he has it. It's just they need to stop playing around and pull the trigger.
Mm-hmm.
Like you've done it with other people with far less talent and let them run with the ball. You don't know until you give them the chance.
Yeah. Back to the crowd. We mentioned this at the top of the show. The crowd was electric. And if you didn't get a chance to watch Backlash, or you want to rewatch certain highlights or moments of the show, go back and watch Jay's intro. That was one of the, if not the greatest spectacles of all time. Certainly in the top 3 or 5 for sure. Seeing that camera, the hard cam shake the way it did the first time, it happened again a little bit later in the show, but to see that crowd on their feet with their phones out, their flashlights on, and the entire arena erupting the way they did, man. Some people don't like it when even like Pat McAfee is jumping around too, but how can you not feel it? How can you not feel that? And whether you like Jey Uso or not, or you look at him as a main event guy, there's something there, and people are just they're wowed by him, and his entrance speaks for itself.
I love the false finishes in this match because there was like you kind of figured like, man, they're not gonna have Priest lose the belt. He just won it.
Yeah,
but like you're like, could Uso get it? Like. Even with the tension with the Judgment Day issues, like, I don't know if Priest is going to be turning a good guy sooner rather than later or what's going to happen.
Yeah.
But
the tension is there.
It's building.
Mm-hmm.
It's been around for a little while. And now with Mommy out of the picture, right, to kind of calm things down sometimes a little bit, or when she had to step in and take that lead. Yeah, we'll see what happens.
Nobody's there.
Balor.
Nobody's there. It's gonna be interesting. But Jay, man, whoo!
For me though, other than the entrance alone, the match itself didn't quite have the excitement like the first 2 matches did. If that makes sense, it's a good match, but in comparison to the first 2, I wasn't captivated quite the same.
Well, the build was better in the first 2 as well. This one was kind of a, hey, I want to, what was it, a little mini tournament?
Yes.
Yeah, like, but the also issue is like when those 2 were on Raw and they had that segment, it wasn't like feuding, like I'm gonna come get you, it was like mutual. So it's like felt like weird, like You know, like they didn't have that animosity. But I mean,
Mr. Beefy says, did anybody catch Liv's purple bandana on her Instagram?
I did in the backstage segment.
And the backstage segment with her and Dom Dom.
Yeah.
See
It
what
was
they're
in her
like.
pocket.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Definitely something brewing with those two, for
You
sure.
gotta like watch really close because WWE's throwing these little
Easter eggs now and then. I like that. It started with Bray Wyatt's return, right? That's when the Easter eggs really started to become more apparent on WWE television. And then ever since then, you look in the background of certain interviews or other segments. Yeah, you got to always be watching and paying attention because you might miss something like the bandana.
You'll easily miss something like that.
Yeah. I mean,
Next up on the card was the Kabuki Warriors versus Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill for the women's tag titles.
I got something to address very quick.
Let's hear it.
For all you fucktards out there that keep trying to say Jade's still green and learning, she shouldn't have been out there. There was a certain person named Jim Hellwig. He's just as green as she was. They put the world title on him. There was a person who they turned down drastically named the Great Khali. They put a belt on him. Let's see. Who else has been champion that's been green? There's plenty of other people. AEW put one on a green guy to me. Most people say, yeah, no, he's talented. Adam Page is still green as far as being a superstar. He was slingshot into a position he was not ready for. Goldberg was a response to Steve Austin. I agree with you, Mr. Beefy, but it was just simply, oh, so bald guy, black tights. Oh, we can do that. Push too hard, too quickly, stupidly.
hell of a kick.
Wow. He just turned heel.
You guys can take over.
I was about to say, Mr. Martelli,
I bet you take out the figure. Look at that. Like it makes up for it.
Mr. Martelli is correct too. You put the belt on him. You put the belt on Russo.
Only for what, a day?
Doesn't matter. Vince McMahon, like I hate to mention his name, but Vince McMahon at least looked the role when he was champion.
Yeah.
So
it's a good point though, Mike Dewey from Scream. Yeah.
So that's my issue right away. I'll let you guys continue that though.
No, but I think it covers a lot of what people have said leading up to this point, have said in the past about Jade, and still might feel like she's not ready.
But you don't need her to do so much. Like she's already over. But I think in WWE she's getting the proper training and development.
Yeah.
Where she wasn't in another place.
AEW was a good experience for her to showcase her potential.
Mm-hmm.
And she had to leave. She had to get out of there. She had to be in an environment that was better than how AEW conducts their business. And being at the Performance Center and working with the women that she's working with and surrounding herself with the talent that she's around, both male and female, she's improved drastically. And this match, I think, really showed just how smooth some of her moves and her transitions are and can be. Her finisher in this match, I think, was the best that she performed to date.
Mm-hmm.
See, I can't completely agree with you because I'm going to have to.
Only
because technically she did the same exact thing as Sky Blue in AEW.
I still think the transition in the move, the hold, it was smoother. The transition was her match with Sky Blue was solid. And Sky Blue is also a strong up and coming female talent who has improved quite a bit. But I'm glad Jade's in WWE. I'm glad she's got some tag.
She's where she needs to be.
I was there for her last AEW appearance. Just saying.
Were. You're the reason she left.
Wow.
You talked to her backstage, didn't you? You told her.
Hell yeah, get out of this shithole. Get out of this shithole.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Vince was WWE champ. A lot of people forget that.
Yeah.
But yeah, the match was pretty good, and being paired with Bianca. I'm glad Bianca and Cargill are pairing up, because when they do eventually split,
that will be a lovely match at Mania next year.
Oh,
I'm calling it right now.
I think you've nailed it, Joe.
Well, here's the thing I'll say. I'm going to have to agree with a certain Bully Ray. This is the perfect spot for Jade to be in to learn how to be a babyface.
Mm-hmm.
Because everything she does is semi-heelish. It's just natural for her. So now she gets to learn from the biggest babyface in the women's division.
Seems like she's having fun.
Yeah, like even the videos you see from the house shows types of circuits.
Yeah.
All the three of them, her, Bianca, and Naomi, just seem to be having the time of their lives.
Yeah. And I know we mentioned this on another show, but they look larger than life. They look like real superheroes. And when you've got the look and you've got the talent, flaunt it and showcase, because no one else looks like these three women.
No.
And I don't get it. Tony Khan he loves collecting action figures, but
that's
his biggest action figures go.
Yeah. That's what I don't get. And as much as I like Jade's run in AEW, you put her in a box and you didn't let her go to the top. You didn't let her flourish more. So I'm glad she's in WWE, and she's going to be able to make her way to the top.
We'll be talking about this shortly. Stay tuned.
Yes, we will.
Is that a stranger?
Holy. Have not
I haven't seen that name in forever. Mr. Big Gold himself.
I was worried.
Yeah. I was going to show up at his house and collect the belt since he wasn't there.
King Jay Sean, you going to SummerSlam? Just asking. If you do, can you bring one of your Chrome Ryans? Just asking. You know. The next match, I was glad that it ended the way it did. You know.
I'll let you take the
no. I did like AJ's gear from when he wrestled Dusty. You know, but I mean, I thought it was a good match.
Some people are saying, Joe, that it was the best match of 2024. I don't agree with it.
And I'm an AJ Mark.
No.
It was a great match, though.
Listen, there was a match earlier.
Yeah.
This year.
WWE.
Is it better than Cody and Roman? No. Okay. I mean, is it better than Bryan and Ospreay?
Absolutely not. To me, that is the match of the year at this point.
Now, was it a solid match? Yes. You know, I mean, I remember Cody, talking with Austin. He said, his dream opponent was AJ Styles. I think you'll see those two probably wrestle again.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I hope they do.
If we do, we need a different result.
AJ's not going over. He is not beating Cody.
He certainly wasn't going to beat Cody the first time around. Cody just won the belt, and I like wrestling is at a point now where we can be predictable. We can figure out very easily.
AJ, like the title run he should have is like should bring back like the European title. He would be like a European champion
Jones, you gonna take this?
or a U.S. champion. He could take it off of Logan.
Why not the world heavyweight title? Take it off Priest.
He's on the wrong brand. I will say that he should be on Raw.
He should absolutely.
Where he could. The World Heavyweight Championship fits him.
I still think he should have been the inaugural.
Yeah, I still
World
think
Heavyweight Champion. But
What's crazy? Like, before the draft, with Roman on SmackDown, we're like, oh, SmackDown's got a better roster than Raw. SmackDown's deep, but I'm like, damn, does Raw? Like, now I'm like, which roster is better?
Raw has a lot of talent. A lot of talent, and a lot of them are injured. Take Punk and McIntyre.
But you know what I love about those two? I cannot wait till that match happens because they're keeping me hooked, especially going away from this PG.
Yeah, and you'll likely see the match at SummerSlam. There's a very good chance that you will be in attendance, Joe, and Jones as well. You'll be able to see that play out. And like you said, moving away from the PG era when they go to Netflix.
It's going to be crazy.
I just saw that they're going to be on, USA until the Netflix.
$25 million to extend that deal. It's a lot of coin, but when you look at the Netflix deal,
it's nothing.
It's absolutely nothing, and I'm glad they're remaining on the USA Network. Wrap that up, wrap the year up, and then start fresh on Netflix.
Very much so.
Right off of USA with a bang.
Yeah. The end of the PG era and completely different.
Here's something. They don't want to be entertainment, right? They want to be wrestling.
They're wrestlers again.
Do you think they get rid of the WWE, like World Wrestling Entertainment, and go maybe change the name?
They'll probably keep the name. It's probably too much.
Because it's been around for so long. What has it been? 22, 23 years since they got the F
22.
It's been around, WWE's been around longer now, right? Than WWF has. And people still refer to it as WWF. I know we have.
I still do.
And when you talk to some of the older school fans, then it's WWF to them. But WWE is cemented itself in pop culture in a lot of ways, and when you look at how popular it is today, I don't think it makes sense to rebrand the company.
Nope, it's a waste.
But it's a great time to be a fan of wrestling. WWE is arguably hotter now than it has been in a very long time, and I think looking back in a few years from now, even we are going to realize just how good we have it right now because we have been through some dark ages being fans of wrestling in various promotions, and we know how bad it can get. So let's enjoy this ride because it is incredible.
I feel like Triple H is incorporating some Attitude Era-ish into this,
It certainly feels like that. It feels like that. There's some ruthless aggression in there as well. And it's as The Rock said, to quote Dwayne, it's cool to like wrestling again. Or wrestling is cool again for sure. But that was Backlash in France. Great to watch a show during the afternoon and then have the rest of the day and evening to do whatever it is that we have to do. Yeah, it was a good show. Overall, if you had to give it out of 5, Joe Jones, what would you give Backlash out of 5?
Out of 5. Oh, 3.
3.5, 4.
I was gonna say 3.5, 4 as well. Wasn't the best show in terms of the number of matches or the matches themselves, but the crowd was amazing, and
the crowd automatically gives points for me. It's like it's hard to take away.
I might even lean more towards that 4 just because of the crowd, for sure. It was electric, and go back, watch AJ's entrance, watch Cody's entrance, watch Jay's entrance, and tell me that you don't feel something when you watch those entrances and you see those cameras bump. How many people were in that crowd? Do we have that number? And they were all on their feet, screaming at the top of their lungs. And the fact that they sent out the the sound decibel warning prior to the show. Hunter had showed it actually on his watch, just because of how loud it was going to get. It was great. That's a crowd.
You know what's crazy? Like, I think they're going to do Backlash maybe in a different country every year, because last year was in Puerto Rico.
That's true. Could be a good tradition that they start building forward, right? Go somewhere in Europe, go somewhere elsewhere, get away from North America.
La 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 la.
Yeah.
Whole camera shook.
Speaking of things shaking, Jones, it's a good segue into our next topic of conversation tonight. The man who made the world shake when he lifted and tossed Andre the Giant so many years ago is in the news.
Toss.
Jones, do it. Woo. Jones, do it.
Him and Luger both did hip tosses. I'm not giving them. It's not a body slam.
Jones. Coming back.
Not going to stop unless you do it.
It's funny Jones says the hip toss, because I was watching SummerSlam 93 yesterday, and Bobby Heenan's like, it was a hip toss. It wasn't a body slam.
It pretty much was a hip toss.
That's Rip, Jones.
But I'm not sure if you guys listened to the about 11-12 minute interview on the 700 Club. And for those of you who haven't or don't know what the 700 Club is, it's through the Christian Broadcasting Network. And I didn't know that they had a sports subsection of CBN. But Hogan was on, and he addressed a lot of things about his life and his career and his legacy. And he often remembers Andre the Giant and his friend, or later in life, his friend Roddy Piper. And he shared some interesting things about himself and his newfound born again, I guess, redemption story. And we'll talk a little bit about what this all means. But we're going to listen to a couple clips, and you guys let me in the comments, let me know if you can hear the audio. But Hogan's known for Hogan's known for just saying numerous ridiculous claims throughout history, whether it be that he was supposed to be the bassist for Metallica. He was supposed to be the one for the George Foreman grill. There's a lot of things that Hogan has said over the years, but some of the things in this interview stood out to me, and I wonder if they'll stand out to you as well. But
call a spade a spade. He's a liar.
I think he might have found himself, Jones, and this might be Terry's way of trying to,
find Elvis
salvation.
Being a huge Hogan fan.
That is true.
Or Elvis would come to Memphis to watch Hogan wrestle, but Hogan didn't start wrestling till 2 years after Elvis passed.
So
proves he's not dead, brother.
They started off the interview by asking Hogan about his faith. And Hogan has always been known for wearing crucifixes around his neck, but he's found God, I think, multiple times throughout his life. We're gonna go through some of this Hoganology, Mr. Beefy, okay? And we're gonna discuss our own existential thoughts and beliefs, and tie it all back to Terry Bollea, otherwise known as Hulk Hogan. But this is what he had to say about I guess his purpose and our purpose in life.
Hogan, what does the person of Jesus Christ, Terry, bring to you?
That God presence in us, that still small voice. So what Terry brings to the table is a meat suit, a meat suit filled with the Spirit of Christ, and it's a testing ground for me. I accepted Christ as my Savior when I was 14, but I derailed. It wasn't my life. He has given me the opportunity to prove that I'm faithful, and I'll never make those same mistakes again. My faith, the momentum was overwhelming. There was nothing stopping me.
We are meat suits. Head of the Meat Jones. I think my new banner or my new header is going to be meat suit. That's all we are in this life.
We're pounding the meat suits.
I think we started it, right? we're that's all we are, Jones.
Could y'all hear that audio?
Yeah,
Could they hear it?
they should be able to. I heard it.
You can hear it. Give me a thumbs up.
You know what? We should get like Hogan's face. He should make shirts of that. Meat suits. You know, with Hogan's face on them.
I would buy one. I'd buy one for Jones too. You could turn it into, imagine a meat suit pillow. Just cuddle that before you go to sleep at night.
Nightmares.
But you know what? His faith is has been up and down, and it's an ongoing journey for Mr.
Meat suits
Belay.
running wild, brother.
I like the sounds of that. The meat suits are running.
I am
wild.
a real meat suit.
Oh my goodness! But what do you think Hogan's trying to say? Like by starting this interview off, is he?
Oh my god!
Is Hogan trying to be the most Christ-like that he can be? Or is this just a way for him to try and save face after all of the things that he has said and done?
You know, Jesus, that doesn't work for me, brother. You know, like I think he's trying to save face, to be honest. I mean, I don't, or maybe he's changing.
He's getting
I
older.
can change, and you can change. Everybody can.
He's getting older.
Jones, do you think he's changing?
Jones, you've always made the distinction between Hulk Hogan, the character, and Terry Bollea, the person, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think there were
Not always. Recently, I've been able to do so. Hulk Hogan, the character, is a necessity. Terry Bollea, the person, I can't say so much. I agree with that part. But if he's changed, great. Good job. But it's not going to work for me, brother, to quote you.
There's some blurred lines between Terry Bollea and Hulk Hogan, and he addresses that as well in the interview. But he also talks about kind of, and to quote the next clip that we're going to hear, the demand for his brand and what that means to Hulk Hogan.
Well, 35 years of wrestling, still had that bug in me where I like to see if I was getting approved. After I slammed one guy and looked to the crowd, I guess I made a crazy face, but the look that I gave a better reaction than the wrestling move. I went, okay, they want to see me be a little goofy and have fun in here. And that character launched me into this crazy genre where it all intertwined together. You know, the character and the wrestling.
But why the demand for your brand?
I like that. Why the demand for my brand? I think it's generational trust. Because the parents and the grandparents all know who I am, and the kids know who I am. But like in Mozambique and Zimbabwe and Malaysia, they might not know Tom Brady, but they know Hulk Hogan. You know, so
I'm sorry. In Mozambique and Malaysia, those kids, their grandparents, and those parents, they all know Hulk Hogan. They don't know, but they don't know anyone else that is. They don't know Tom Brady. They all know Hulk Hogan. Yeah.
We should find somebody that lives there and get him on the show. I'm like, do you know who Hulk Hogan is?
Is anyone watching our show right now from Mozambique
or Malaysia?
Or Malaysia? Because if you are, one's in the chat. If you're from Malaysia and you know who Hulk Hogan is, and if your kids know who Hulk Hogan is, but this is kind of the classic Terry Bollea that I have grown to detest over the
demand
years.
for your brand.
That he liked that. He loved that, eh? Of course he did. So Vaughn's from Cambodia.
Hey.
And Hulk Hogan, Vaughn, if you don't mind kind of sharing a little bit, is Hulk Hogan popular in Cambodia? Is he a well-known household name? Or is it more of a generational thing? Like, do the kids today know who Hulk Hogan is? Because you can make the argument that a lot of kids in Canada and the United States that are 5, 6, 7 years old don't really know who Hulk Hogan is. You can make that argument. But I'm curious because,
Who?
wow, so not really, but Cena is more. So I guess as time goes on, as the generations go on, right, these names also change. Hogan might have been a household staple at one point, regardless of where you live in the world, because in many ways, Hulk Hogan did transcend wrestling.
Yeah.
But as one said, I think that that has to do all with Terry. But this is where Hogan really gets into himself and separating himself from Terry Bollea. And
I feel like he's trying to keep his image still alive. Like, these older wrestlers, like how they do. I mean, Hulkamania is never going to go away. He's still going to be, the most popular
when he's
wrestler.
on TV, though, Jones, he's booed a lot of the times. The crowd doesn't love him like they used to, right? Like it has changed. Like after he came back, 2002, when he had his feud later with The Rock at WrestleMania 18, with a whole New World Order angle in WWE, like Hogan was larger than life. That run was insane.
Who's harder? Who harder?
And I dare say, Jones, that when Hulk Hogan was in TNA, he was still on top of the mountain.
I don't know if you guys know this, but Jones's favorite WCW wrestler was Horace Hogan. He won't say that out loud. Doing this for Hollywood.
But I can't help but wonder that. And think
that actually good. I'm gonna ask you a question. Do either of you actually know who my favorite WCW wrestler was?
Stunning Steve.
No.
I was gonna say Sting.
No.
Booker T.
Nope.
It was Harlem Heat.
That was my favorite. That was one of my favorite tag teams, but it wasn't
Ron Simmons.
No.
Now you're just naming.
Come on. If you say Glacier or Mortis or like Super Callow.
I have no idea. I
right
really
division with Super Callow, but no.
Cyclope?
No.
Silver King?
Nope.
El Dandy?
Nope.
Norman S. Smiley?
No. Good choice though, but no.
Jones, tell us. Who is
Ron, go to hell. No. It was a certain someone from
Lord Steven Regal.
See 3 count.
Oh, is it Evan Courageous?
No.
Shane Helms?
Yes.
Vertebreaker, huh?
That was my favorite WCW person.
I did not know that about you.
I liked him as Cruiserweight champion, man, when the Vertebreaker.
3 count was one of my favorite things ever.
Evan, Shannon, and Shane.
I didn't like when Tank Abbott was with him, but I did.
What about when Medusa was with him?
That was fine.
Who was the other group?
The Young Dragon.
Yeah. I thought Jones, to be honest, I thought Jones would have said Tokyo Magnum.
Wow.
You remember Tokyo?
Yeah.
Hey.
Oh my gosh.
Or Kid Romeo was also one of the guys I liked. He was underutilized. And no, I wasn't going to say AJ Styles because he was barely there.
Yeah.
But he was there.
He was. For time's sake, gentlemen, I am going to skip over Hogan's reminiscence of Andre the Giant, but I am going to focus on the latter half of this interview before we move on, because this is probably the most talked about segment. Roddy Piper, when he passed away, Hogan claims that he got a voicemail through a text message sent to his phone after Roddy had died. And we're going to listen to that. We're going to listen to Hogan explaining it first, and then we're actually going to listen to the voicemail itself. But let's listen to what Hogan had to say about Roddy Piper leading up to his death.
A buddy of mine, Roddy Piper, passed away. Roddy Piper. And he was really trying hard to, surrender and try to get his life straight. So, I mean, we would text every single day. Now, in the wrestling business, for 25 years, we couldn't stand each other. We were at each other's throats. I know it's predetermined, all that, but he did not like me, and I did not like him. And that's just how it was. Well, once we got older and, we basically had some conversations. And so we started talking a lot, and he started asking me about my spirituality. He really didn't connect, but he was very curious, He wouldn't surrender. And all of a sudden, he passes away. And it was an A&E special about Roddy Piper. And the very thing, when they get ready to go to credits, it wasn't a text message, but it was a text message that was a voice message on the text. So he must have. But this text message came in 2 days after he died. And the text message goes, "I'm just loving you, my brother. I'm just walking with Jesus and loving you, my brother." I was like, he would have never said that when he was here.
I find that fascinating. I know we joke a lot about Hogan and we poke fun and whatnot, but getting a text message from his friend, from Roddy Piper, 2 days after he passed away, that's something. Before we comment on this, let's listen to the Piper voicemail.
I saw the light. I'm walking with Jesus today, my brother. Walking with Jesus, loving you and praying for you.
That's clearly Roddy Piper. I know none of us know him personally, but from being a fan of him and watching him, that's clearly his voice.
That's my pal Rod.
That's my pal Rod. You're just a mark, Joe. What do you guys think about this mysterious voicemail that Hogan received?
So Hogan has talked about this before. Like when he was on Theo Von's podcast, he talked about it. And he said like the message, didn't come through 2 days till after. Like he sent it, but like he got it, like could it happen? Maybe. I don't know. I mean, it's kind of tough to say because of the Hogan stories.
I believe he got it 2 days after, out to his credit, Piper's passing. But I certainly don't believe that Piper sent it from the other side.
No, not at all.
I think that's what Hogan's suggesting, though, right? Like I think he's suggesting that he says he wouldn't say this, if he was still here. That's what Hogan said in that clip, suggesting that no, this is Piper from the afterlife, just walking with Jesus.
What phone service does Hogan have?
Metro.
I don't know what service they have up in heaven, but
because I'm going to agree with Juan. Depending upon the type of service he has, maybe the message just was months ago and it just finally came through.
Yeah. Occam's razor, right? The simplest solution to a logical.
Maybe Piper passed an afterlife, came back, looked at his phone like, oh shit, send.
Or maybe it was in his drafts to be sent. Someone turned on his phone trying to find something, and
his phone could have been off, right? And one of his loved ones had turned the phone on, and right. Sometimes messages come through afterwards. God uses AT&T. But I think it's all just very fitting for a lot of the things that Hulk has said over the years. And I think even if there's some truth to him trying to find himself and find God and become a better person, especially as he ages, I think a lot of it has to do with him trying to stay relevant and to save face. Because he's been through a lot of dirt, and rightfully so, because the language that he's used in past and some of the things that he has said and done, there's consequences.
Makes me want to buy a Hogan shirt tonight,
Gonna go on the shop, see if there's
Or
anything.
Hogan's Beach Shop. You never know.
That's where that interview was taking place. But Hulk Hogan.
Oh wow, you're taking me really back, Juan.
Juan's on fire tonight. But one of Hogan's friends, who's also
has who?
in the news, I think he has friends. He has acquaintances at least. But another veteran, another WWE legend, was in the news this week, and that has to do with the Nature Boy, Ric Flair. Did you guys see what why Flair was trending this week?
Y'all just don't like me this week, huh?
I told you there's not a lot was going on this week in the wrestling world. But here's a tweet that Rick put up around the same time that this video was circulating on social media. Rick says that he spent $1,500 at Paisano's Fire and Grill, or Pints and Pies restaurant. And he said that to be disrespected more than I ever have in my entire life. After taking 20 pictures with customers and staff, I was asked to leave because of an issue I had with the kitchen manager taking too long in the bathroom. I would highly recommend that anyone who wants to enjoy a relaxing time in Gainesville at a nice restaurant to never visit this place again. Woo. That was Mr. Ric Flair's response to the viral video that was going around on Twitter or X or TikTok, Instagram, pretty much all the platforms it's been circulating. Did you guys see the video?
I did not.
I was going to air
never
it, but I
seen-
figured I didn't want to get flagged for any copyright or anything like that.
I remember, him with an issue with in the bar like last year with Michael Chandler, UFC fighter. Chandler just double legged him and took him down. I don't know if it was staged or not, but it's funny we're talking about this like right after the Hogan segment, because I feel like these two are going like Hogan's going trying to do good and Flair's just
what?
like
I think that he does. So allegedly, because we weren't there, and this has happened multiple times. Flair has been in multiple incidences in bars over the years where I think what happens is that he's cut off.
Mm-hmm.
The bartender or one of someone working at the restaurant or at the bar cuts him off because he's had too much to drink. This is what happened. But Flair goes on to say that this is an incident happened in the bathroom first where nobody else had witnessed it. And then it kind of trickled out into the main area at the bar when a staff member by the name of Nicholas, or as Ric Flair referred to him as Nicholas Dickhead, cut him off. And it was embarrassing. Get a chance to go watch the video. It's or don't, because you know what, Ric Flair doesn't even need the time
he just needs to
day.
know like when the party stops. Like, dude, like we know you're Ric Flair.
He needs to go away. Like, I'm not sorry. Go away.
I want to remember.
You had your time in the limelight.
Yeah.
Now you're embarrassing your daughter at this point.
I want to remember Flair as Flair. Like the wrestler, not like
I can't anymore. I can't. I don't think I can put aside his last match. I can't put aside all these incidences of him making an ass of himself.
He's teetering.
You know what's going to happen in a year or two.
CB territory.
You hear him like mad because he's not a part of the new WCW documentary that The Rock's producing.
That's right.
Like he's bitter about that. I wouldn't be shocked in like a year or two. There's a Dark Side of the Ring about him.
Again,
another one.
Well, I mean, it was a plane ride from hell, but like.
Or you're referring to one about his? I'm not wishing this on him, but one about his death.
I hate to say, I think it's bound to happen just with everything that we're seeing. Bro, he went on to tell one of the waitresses at the restaurant, that he would give her $1,000 tip if she agreed with him and told Nicholas Dickhead to basically fuck off. And then
$1,000 worth losing your job.
and then a patron down the bar turns and looks at Flair, and he says, because Flair wanted to bring Nicholas outside and fight him outside. Because like, let's take this out. And Nicholas is like, no, you don't have to talk to me that way. We're not stepping outside. And a patron at the bar turned and looked at Rick and said, I'll go outside with you. I don't work here. Let's go. And Flair just completely made an ass of himself. But today he reached out, or TMZ reached out to him, and he said that he was wrong for losing his temper. And he feels like when he's put in an area where he's uncomfortable, and all of a sudden everything just fell apart.
Yeah, it's the area of drinking at the bar.
That's what it comes down to. But he claims, this is the thing, Joe, he claims that alcohol had nothing to do with it. He denied being drunk or buzzed. He said he only had maybe 1 or 2 mixed drinks tops.
I feel
That
like
he remembers.
Yeah, I feel like anytime Flair goes out, there's an incident. You hear about it. Like
there's certainly more incidences where he is recorded or he is making an ass of himself, and people are running to social media to post about it and talk about it than not.
I want to know who is more immortal, him or Vince. Like, I feel like those two, just
both these guys can, I think in their minds, certainly they can do no wrong, right? And they have the money, they have the power, and they have the people around them to protect them in their mind. Unless something were to blow up, and if Vince, we digress a little bit, but if Vince were to, if this were to play out and Vince is charged or whatever happens in this trial, but it's not going to be dragged out in the public anyways, but these guys think they're untouchable. He truly believes he's Ric Flair, the character.
Yeah, I mean, he's that's, you've seen him in interviews, how do you separate Ric Flair from Richard Fleer?
Right?
He is Ric Flair. Like, he's not going to ever be
and Hogan talked about that, right? It's trying to separate Terry from Hulk Hogan. And one of the clips I didn't play, he did say, though, when I go out in public, I put on the bandana, whatever, because no one wants to see Terry. No one cares to see Terry. And so when someone says hi to me, I say, how's it going, brother? Because that's what people want to hear, and that's what they want to see.
I want to know if someone goes up to him and says, hey, Terry, how you doing? Like, how he would react.
Yeah. At the end of the day, yeah, they're people. They have feelings. They have emotions. But I look at Ric Flair, and I think it's very difficult, for me at least, to try and remember him in a positive light. I can't remember him, and he's still alive. So he only knows how to be Ric Flair. Absolutely, Drew.
Yep.
He's so far gone that this is who he is now. And maybe this is who he has been for a very long time. And with social media and smartphones and everything else, now people are just capturing like who the real Ric Flair is.
I'm going to say this could be controversial, could be not. The best thing ever to happen to Ric Flair is that plane crash.
That's 100% truth.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of wish that plane crash never happened.
Mm-hmm.
Joe, for those of people watching that aren't really sure what you're talking about, can you elaborate a little bit?
Before that plane crash, if you look at Ric Flair, his body type, the way he looked more like Dick Murdoch.
Yeah.
Like,
very good comparison.
Spot on, actually.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because, watching 95 Rumble, Dick Murdoch's in there, and if you, see, but he looks just like Dick Murdoch. And then, after the plane crash, heals up, like Ric Flair was, I want to say he's fat, but he was, a little beefy, looked way different before the plane crash. After the plane crash, when he broke his back and other issues, he changed his style to basically be the nature boy buddy.
Yeah. And so the hero or villain was born.
Yes. I mean, he changed his whole style.
Yeah.
His whole get up and everything.
I met him. What year was it 2017 that he, or 2019? I forget, 2017, 2019, when he almost died, when he had to be rushed. into the
Oh,
hospital.
yeah. I remember Hogan said, like, in an interview, like, he went to go visit him, and Flair's like, give me a 6-pack, you know?
I was at literally Hogan's Beach Shop in Orlando when that news broke. Kind of ironic. But it was crazy. And I was thinking to myself, and I said to my wife when we were there, I'm like, how weird would that be if here we are, we traveled to Florida and Ric Flair gets rushed to the hospital and he almost dies. And the reason why I bring that up is because the following day, Flair also tweeted about that incident and tweeted about when he almost did die a few years back.
Mhm.
Because he's trying to make the correlation that the incident that happened in the bathroom has to do with how his body has changed ever since he had that procedure and ever since he got sick. But he's also kind of looking for sympathy after this is blown up, I think. People are laughing at him. People are commenting on his social media posts to say, man, like, stop drinking. Stop making an ass of yourself. But
in Rick's mind, he can do no wrong.
a lot of guys with that complex,
Mhm.
not even to that degree. Like we can say a lot about celebrities and people in the limelight, but a lot of guys, even in our own life, we know people not like Ric Flair, but we know people that have an ego similar to those people and can do no wrong, right? They can say whatever they want. They think that there's no consequences. Now elevate yourself to Ric Flair status. Yeah. I don't know how much time Mr. Flair has left on this earth, but like you said, Joe, it's funny that here's Hogan trying to find redemption and salvation and, turn his life around, even if there is some underlying thing going on, right? And then Flair's doing the opposite.
I do not. Can only hope it gets better.
I'd like to
Will he
imagine.
ever learn? Will he ever learn? Probably not, but
It might be
hope
too
for the
late by the
best.
time he actually learns.
Will AEW keep him around?
Keep who?
Of course.
Rick, with his woo energy drinks and his wooings. This is my segue. I tried to.
I know. That's why I just let out the sigh.
I don't think he'll be reprimanded at all. He made his little public apology where he said he shouldn't have lost his temperature, and I don't think Tony Khan will do anything about it. But you know what I wish Tony Khan would do? What he would do something about? A lot of things, but to end the show off, Mercedes Moné has been the biggest bust in AEW.
You have to call her by her proper name.
Mercedes Moan?
No. CE. No, thank you.
Oh. She's horrible, dude. Every time she's on the mic, I cringe.
She's a great talent in the ring. She just never really got over on the mic. And it's weird considering she idolizes Eddie Guerrero.
Yeah. I was a big fan of her in NXT. Sasha Banks. Loved her in NXT.
Where'd it go?
Yes.
Were they protecting her?
Like when she beat Charlotte for the title in NXT, I was like, oh. Who can forget her and Bayley, the first Iron Woman match in NXT in Brooklyn, Barclays.
Yeah.
Takeover. Amazing. She came to the main roster. I feel like she's injury prone. Like she wasn't the same Sasha that I remembered from NXT. Could it have been Vince? Maybe. But like to me, she was always injury prone. Her in AEW, when she signed, I'm like, okay. Like, I think she thinks she's bigger than she is. She's not the biggest, women's wrestler in the world. She's not. But I feel like there's a part of her that regrets her decision not to go back to WWE. because the way WWE's hitting on all cylinders. Like
Whatever.
Mercedes Moné is in AEW. Yeah, she got all that money. That's it. What are they doing with her? Nothing. Like it's a spark that fizzled out like that quick.
I'm glad she went for the money though. Go ahead, get your money.
Sure.
You'll
Yes.
probably never get that payday.
Yeah.
So go for it.
But at the same time, if her end goal is to return back to WWE after her stint in AEW, I don't know what her stock is going to be.
Well, she already said that. I can see the ultimate end game. I'll be back there one day. I know.
She said that before she even debuted.
Yeah, exactly. It's like what?
But she's not doing anything to better herself. I hope that when she does fight
Willow,
that she puts on a great match. Willow is very over right now with the fans. I think it's almost inevitable for Mercedes to take the title off of her to get her redemption, right, for her breaking her ankle. But where do we go from here?
That division is hurting bad. Like, where's Britt Baker? That division is really hurting. Jamie Hayter has been injured.
Yeah,
that division is floundering. Like,
I'm at this situation where, okay, you got somebody who's calling themselves the CEO, but they're going for the TBS championship and not the World Heavyweight Championship.
secondary.
make it make
Well,
sense.
not the Women's World Championship, not heavyweight, the Women's Championship.
Yeah.
Make it make sense. It's not adding up.
No. And that's the biggest issue with AEW in general, right? There's a lot of things that just don't make sense. The women's division, I think, is the best example of that. Because you look on paper, Jones, like they do have some great female personalities. They have some great female talent, but there's no story. There's no build. There's no. I'm not hooked. I'm not captivated by most of the female roster and what they're doing. I'm glad to see Serena Deeb on television because I think she's an incredible athlete, and I want to see her in that main event and go after Toni Storm. So I'm invested in that because I really like Serena Deeb as a wrestler. But in the bigger picture, you bring in all these people. You bring in Paige, Saraya. What has she done?
NXT has a better roster than AEW's.
They absolutely do. We said that at the beginning of the show.
That's not a fair comparison,
right? But we
I know, but it's crazy that WWE's developmental.
Because let's not kid ourselves. That's still what it is. It's not the third brand like Raw. It's still their developmental, right? And yet the talent, especially the female roster, is significantly better than AEW's.
That's what's crazy about NXT to me. Like, when they had like Charlotte, Becky, Bayley, Sasha down there, they came up and you're like, what's next? Then you had the Asukas. What's next? Shayna Baszler, Rhea Ripley. What's next? Whew. Well, guess what? It just keeps coming up. Keep more and more. Bianca, it's just.
Yeah.
It's truly next person up in NXT.
Yeah. You're thinking like, oh man, these women, I gotta, they're hitting, they just get better and better, and it's just.
And then you've got Ring of Honor too, and there's a lot of talent that you don't even see on television because they might be on Ring of Honor. I haven't tuned into Ring of Honor. I don't know.
Athena should be the world champion in both promotions, right?
Yep. She's the best example. But
do we have anything else about AEW to discuss?
We could probably rant even longer, but I think we've covered everything that we wanted to say.
I'm going to say this. You already know what I'm going to say.
I think the AEW team is weak as shit.
That wasn't even going here. That makes no sense.
I messaged Jones yesterday. I really thought the Motor City Machine Guns were going to be the ones to debut and join forces with FTR, Kenny to take on the Young Bucks because of the history.
It would make more sense.
But when they called it Team AEW, I said, no, not gonna. Eddie Kingston and Bryan Danielson, who has been off television for quite some time because of.
If you wanted to be smart, you could have put Will Ospreay in that team.
No,
him
he's
against
back,
Okada.
he's back in England. He's still in
His-
England, just
Yeah.
drinking his tea.
Since
but
when
like
does
some-
AEW and Sense go in the same sentence?
No.
I'm going to leave. I'm not going to leave. I'm going to end my rant on this part. Hey, Swerve. You got what the fuck you deserved. I'm glad you got your ass kicked by your team. AEW, way to go with your first black champion.
Mogul
Way to go.
Embassy, man.
You
No
buried
more.
him already in, 3 weeks?
Yeah.
Good job. Good job.
His first appearance on the show after the pay-per-view was in a 20-minute match with a nobody.
Speaking of AEW, Samoa Joe's still watching Ric Flair matches backstage. Oh,
We're in the
man.
dark ages with AEW, and then I'm so glad that WWE is in the position that they are today.
I mean, Adam called Tony, the opening of the show. Yeah, I spoke to Tony Khan. He made this match. Really? Cool. Awesome.
And the best is yet to come because there, as we mentioned before, Jacob Fatu hasn't even made his debut yet. That's going to be exciting. You've got Cody. I'd love to see another rematch with AJ Styles, who arguably is the best wrestler in the world today, and arguably one of the greatest wrestlers of all time.
Didn't a reporter, correct me if I'm wrong, was it Meltzer that said, or somebody said, oh man, AEW got Ospreay, Moné, I forget who else.
Okada.
What is WWE? They ain't doing nothing. Yeah, and look at the impact Tangalo. They're going to have a bigger impact than Ospreay and Moné.
Certainly Moné.
Jade.
Ospreay's still learning the American style, so I'll give him a pass.
I'll
But
give him.
I'm going to target Jay White though.
I know, but I feel like like everybody was hating on WWE. Oh, they couldn't sign these people. Yeah, but look at what they're doing. Like,
I think the main reason why Ospreay didn't sign is because he didn't have to pack his bags and move to the U.S. AEW said, you can stay in the UK. We'll call you when we need you. And so
that was one of his biggest reasons why that was one of the biggest reasons why he didn't come sooner.
I'm not knocking him for what he chose. He chose what was best for his life.
Yeah, and all the power to him. Mercedes, make that bag.
Yeah, she wanted the money.
Like,
go for it.
WWE's just picking New Japan. Like, let me grab you, put you in the bloodline.
But when we look at like New Japan, so you look at Okada and what he's doing right now in AEW, and look at what he was in New Japan, night and day.
He went for the familiar territory.
I kind of want to use this comparison. It's like Bret Hart in WWE and WCW with Okada.
I think Okada's being used worse.
I just hope he doesn't. Let's see, who's the guy that's injured in everybody in AEW?
Hobbs
is hurt.
Hobbs is hurt.
Well, it's crazy. Like somebody
hope he doesn't face Sammy Guevara.
Yes,
he's also
he's
suspended still, right?
Yeah.
So
I was telling somebody, I'm like, like Hook is, Taz wants Hook in WWE. They're like, why would he want him in WWE? So he can get buried. I'm like, yeah, if you could see what Triple H would do with Hook in WWE,
imagine he puts the meat on him, he makes him bulkier and trains him correctly at the performance center.
Go directly right into NXT right now and join the no catch crew.
Yeah, and he'd flourish.
He can be the leader right there, right away.
He's returning next Wednesday on Dynamite. I was very disappointed to hear that. I was really hoping that, as much as I hate Chris Jericho,
but remember, Jade returned only to leave pretty much immediately. Right,
that is true. Now my
hope.
hope.
She just came out and attacked somebody and left.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
came out and attacked Chris Statlander, put her over again, and left.
And then she fought her on Rampage.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the end of Jade and AEW. Gentlemen, it's been fun. Packed show tonight, talking about the old and the new, and I guess what's to come in the world of wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
But any final thoughts or words from either of you gentlemen before we say goodnight to good crowd we have tonight watching?
Final thoughts.
Hogan plus Jesus equals Mega Powers, man. I'm getting that as a shirt.
When you see him, you'll know why I did that.
Thank you for watching. Almost an hour and a half into the show. It's one of the longer shows we've had in a while, but we had a lot to say. So thank you, everyone.
We had a lot to say about nothing.
That's why we're here. Have a good night, everybody.